Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you're doing awesome and I hope you're doing great. Happy winter season if you're watching this in the winter. Happy summer season if you're watching this in the summer. I doubt that. But let's get started. I am a fourth year nursing student. It's my last year. I'm pretty much a nurse now. And I'm gonna be giving you my brutal, honest experience. Now, the first thing you gotta know about nursing college is that it's fucking hard. Not what you think, not how hard or as hard or the way hard you think, but it's fucking hard in different ways. Let me explain. The first few years, are fucking so hard, it's just brutal. There is nothing harder than that, and you think you're hopeless basically. The first semester, you're gonna think that you've made the biggest mistake in your life. Because obviously it's a different, coming from high school, you have no clue about the anatomy, the building, and the systems of the human body, the veins, the everything. And you're like, oh, I gotta learn all of that. And they're like, yeah, but not only that, you gotta learn also microbiology. What is that? Well, it's the science that studies the microbes or microorganisms. And you have to know the differences between all the viruses and types of viruses and bacteria and parasites. And you're like, damn, I can learn all of that. Like, yeah, but not only that, you gotta also learn pharmacology. You're like, what? Pharmacology is the science that studies the drugs and how they interact with the human body and their effects, and pharmaceutical. And you're like, pharma what again? It's the science that studies the drugs and how they go through the body. And you're like, god dang. They're like, well, no. Well, yes. But not only that. Because you still gotta need the semiology or this terminology. You're like, what is that? Well, that means you gotta learn a lot of words. Basically, new words. You're like, alright. Not only that, you need to study sociology. You're like, what? Sociology as well. Yes, you gotta read that. Not only that, you gotta read fucking law. Law? I'm a nurse. What do you mean law? Yes, you need to do that. And not only that, you gotta also learn the fucking health system. Health what? Health system, yes, of course. So we understand the entire organigram of the health system in the world and in your country as well. You're like, god damn, that is a lot. It is. And it's not only that, because you also gotta study fucking psychology. And some other bullshit I'm not gonna mention. But that is a very big culture shock. Because you're not ready for that. Trust me. Even if you think you are, you're not. But luckily it passes. You survive if you're lucky. So I was unlucky, or I was lucky, based on your view of the world, but I did take that year twice. Take it or leave it. It's just how it is. But I was still the 8th in the class, out of 80, so I was always the top 10%. That's pretty cool. Now, let me explain more. Let's say later on, it gets easier. It gets harder and easier at the same time. It gets easier because you get used to the system in the college, which is pretty hard. And it gets harder because the subject gets harder. Because then, the second year, you don't only study the basics of nursing, but you study more the details, the specialties and specificities. Meaning, we're talking about emergencies, like the emergency as a specialty of itself. Okay, as a explanation here, it differs on your branch. As an example, I study poly or multi-nursing, so I study everything, right? If you're only doing anesthesia nurse or other stuff, it's gonna be a little bit different, but pretty much the same. So for me, I had to study all the specialties in the second year, which is very hard. As I said, it gets easier because you get used to the system. It gets fucking harder and brutal because the subject basically just get harder. You're also we're talking about pediatry, which is kids, and all this stuff. It's just a lot. I don't want to make it a lecture here. I'm not gonna lie. Okay, the battery might die. So I'm gonna wrap it up. I'm gonna wrap it up in one sentence, bro. I don't want the battery to die. So it's very hard. It gets easy. The internship is pretty awesome, especially when you get used to it, and you get fucked. Basically, my battery is gonna die, so I'm gonna make another video pretty soon. Like this video and comment if you want me to make very full-length YouTube video about my full experience. Subscribe.